Hi everybody, and welcome to my channel, and welcome to another foundation diaries. For today's video, we're going to be reviewing the Shiseido Synchro Skin Self-Refreshing Foundation. This foundation is oil free and it has a SPF 30. It retails for $47 and it comes in 30 shades. I'm going to be applying the foundation, and as per usual, I'm going to be taking you guys throughout the week so that you guys could see how the foundation behaves with different primers, and I'm going to be letting you guys know whether or not this foundation is worth the $47 price tag. If you are excited about foundation diaries, please don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you're notified every single time I post. And now, without further ado, let's get started. So we're gonna start with primer, and for today I'm gonna be using the Wonder Beauty Glowhead Illuminating Primer oil. This foundation says that it has a natural finish, but I do notice that it is more in the dry side, at least in my skin. I have combination skin, which means the primers of my face are a little bit drier, and my T-zone, or more like my nose area, tends to be very oily. So that's the reason why I decided to go with a hydrating primer. If you have very oily skin, I would just recommend to use it with more of a jelly primer, something that's really gonna adhere the foundation to your skin. And if you happen to have more of a drier skin type, I would recommend something very hydrating and maybe a thicker primer, just to make sure that your skin is nicely prepped. For the pores, I'm gonna be using Tarte Timeless Smoothing Primer, and this is what it looks like. So I'm just gonna grab a tiny bit and I'm gonna apply it just to the areas where my pores tend to be more noticeable. Now that my skin is prime, on one side of my face I'm gonna be applying it with the sponge, and in the other side I'm gonna be applying it with the brush, just so that I can show you the two different finishes and to see if in fact any of them would give us more coverage. I'm going to read you a little bit more about this foundation. This is the Shiseido Synchro Skin Self-Refreshing Foundation. Shiseido's first foundation that self-refresh non-stop with active force technology. Our long-wear fluid foundation synchronizes with the skin and helps resist heat, humidity, oil, and facial movements to maintain a just applied flawless finish that lasts 24 hours. It's weightless, breathable, blendable, and buildable. The coverage is medium, buildable. The finish is fresh, natural, SPF 30. It's oil free, all day hydration, waterproof, smudge proof, humidity resistant, transfer resistant, dermatologist tested, fragrance free, and it's for all skin types. Some of the key ingredients are the active force technology, which is exclusive complex that protects your flawless finish from the effect of sweat, oil, and facial movement. Responsive sensor technology adapts to skin's condition, tone, texture, and truer illumination. It has wayFoundation extra to help provide antioxidant benefits. This is what the foundation looks like. As you guys can see, on this side I did apply a little bit more, only because the sponge tends to pick up a little bit of the product, so you don't get as much coverage. With the brush, it was actually very fast and very easy to get that more medium full coverage, whereas on this side was a little bit harder and I did have to apply a little bit more product. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna finish up the rest of my makeup, but in the meantime, as per usual, I'm gonna leave you guys with all the days that I tried the foundation so that you guys could see how it behaves with different type of primers and under different conditions. I'll be right back. So this this is day 3 of using this foundation, and today I use my NYX Bear With Me glowy primer, and I actually do like it. So this is what we're starting with. I applied it not too long ago. I'm still kind of iffy. I like the way the foundation looks on camera, but I'm not 100% sure how much I like it off camera. So this is what we're starting with. I think I applied it maybe like about an hour ago, and this is what it looks like. I used my Pat McGrath setting spray, and I set the foundation with my Jefree Star powder. So I'm about to go get my hair done, so I'll be right back. Okay, I was about to go to sleep, and then I realized I needed to record this. We went to the light show. I'll show you guys right here. It was very humid. I live in a very humid climate. Even though it's cold, it's very, very humid. You know, it's that time of the month, and you know what I mean. So I was crying and emotional a little bit, so that's why my under eye looks the way it does. But as far as like the actual foundation, everything else, obviously besides the parts where I was crying, held up pretty good, especially like in my nose. I was wearing the mask and we were walking around, I want to say like around 3 hours. Obviously, you know, my eye situation is a whole nother story, but I did notice that I like how the foundation looks as the time goes by. I applied it and I wasn't a huge fan, but as it worked out with my skin, as I was wearing it, I actually did enjoy the finish. There was a time where like it started looking very nice and dewy, but not greasy or anything like that. Just the perfect amount of matte and the perfect amount of dewiness for my skin type. So in that sense, I was very, very happy with this foundation. I'm testing it out with multiple primers and whatnot, so it is going to take me a little bit more time because there are days that I do like the finish and there are days that I don't like the finish. So we shall see tomorrow and the days after that. Today I'm wearing the foundation, and for primer I use my Wet n Wild Serum primer, and then for my pore area I use a little bit of that Benefit Porefesional, and I use my Hard Candy setting powder. This is what we're working with. As you guys can see, it looked really, really nice. I recorded a video and I think you guys saw it already, and for whatever reason with the lights, the foundation looked a lot lighter than my skin tone. But as you guys could see, it's a pretty good match. In fact, it's a little bit darker, but for whatever reason on the video, it looked a lot lighter. As you guys could see, I love the way the foundation sits on the skin throughout the day. Like, I feel that it gives my skin this very like blur effect. Like, I don't have any pores or anything like that. Obviously, if you get really up close and personal, you can see it, but once you're far, like, I feel like my skin, it looks really, really nice. It doesn't have any transfer. Like, well, obviously I apply some setting powder, but it doesn't have any transfer. And the other thing that I really like is that it doesn't feel heavy whatsoever. My skin doesn't feel like, you know, when you're wearing very high coverage foundation, sometimes your skin tends to feel a little bit heavy. I don't think that's the case with this foundation. So far so good, but I'll show you what it looks like at the end of the night. This is how the makeup turned out. As you guys could see, I got very inspired by my sweater. It was not intentional, it just happened for me to have the Nabla palette in my table, so I got a little bit inspired and decided to go a little bit more sparkly today. Let's talk a little bit more about the foundation itself. As you guys saw during the week, the foundation behaved very nicely. There was some days that I did felt like it was a little bit heavier and I didn't like the finish from the get-go, but as the hours went by, I noticed that the foundation kind of like melted into my skin. I actually really do enjoy the coverage. It is more of a medium to full coverage, so that's something to have in mind. If you don't like that kind of coverage, maybe this foundation won't be for you. But some of the pros on this foundation is definitely the SPF 30. Also, I love how long wearing it is. There was some days that I was wearing it for about 12 to 13 hours and it held pretty nicely. Another of the pros of this foundation is that it doesn't transfer, so even though on the days that I had to wear my mask and I was running around and stuff like that, I didn't notice that it rubbed a lot of my nose nor my cheeks. So that's another thing to have in mind. If you are looking for something that is pretty long wearing, pretty mask proof, this foundation it's really good for that. Finally is the way that it feels on the skin. I actually feel like it's pretty lightweight and it does kind of like moves with your skin, so that's another thing that I really enjoy. If you have larger pores, you definitely have to apply something to blur out the pores, but other than that, it goes on very nicely. This foundation says it has more of a natural finish. In my experience, I noticed that it was more of a matte finish. So even though I applied something very hydrating, I did notice that at the end of the day, it was very obvious that the foundation had dried more in a matte finish. If you have more of dry skin, maybe this foundation won't be for you, because like I said, as the time went by, at least on my skin, I did feel like it was a little bit too dry. I was finishing editing this video and I didn't like this part, so that's the reason why I'm gonna re-record it. I'm sorry about the way that I look. I just wanted to get the message out. So basically, it's when it comes down to the cons on this foundation, it does says that it's waterproof, humidity proof, and it's supposed to be really long wearing. In my experience, on the day that I was walking outside and it was very humid, although it looked fine, I don't think that it looked well enough to be called a humidity resistant foundation or a waterproof foundation, because even on that day I also cried. And as you guys could see, like the foundation, it's not bad like in the outer part of my face, but especially on my eyes, you are able to tell that the foundation rubbed off. So if you are looking for a foundation that it's gonna last you a very long time and you live somewhere that it's very humid, or you know, for whatever reason you get water splashed to your face, the foundation is not going to hold. So that's something to have in mind. Like if you live in a climate that it's a little bit drier, that it's not so humid and you're not going to get wet, well, obviously it's fine. But if you are truly looking for something that it's going to hold no matter what, I would definitely recommend the NARS foundation. I also have a review on that one, and that one would last you for a very long time. So yeah, sorry, now back to the video. Another one of the cons that I have on this foundation is that although it's very long wearing, I did notice that after the 10-11 hour mark, it starts looking a little bit heavy and a little bit cakey. And the last thing that in my opinion is a con is that the shade range, it's a little bit funny. I did had a little bit of a hard time to try to find my shade. I actually purchased 3 different ones until I got my shade, and I don't know if I mentioned it, but I actually have mine in the shade 320 Pine. I did record another video using this foundation. I believe it was my holiday makeup tutorial, and for whatever reason I had the lamp way too high, so my face looks pretty pale. But when you look at my skin under direct sunlight, it looks very nice. The shade is actually a pretty close match, but other than that, the foundation wears very nicely. It looks amazing under direct sunlight. It wears very beautiful. The pictures look amazing. So that's another thing. If you are looking for something that has SPF, but you also need to take photographs, or you're gonna use it for a special occasion, this foundation is actually really nice. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was helpful. I hope you guys enjoy it. Please let me know in the comments if you have any questions, or if you're gonna be trying, or if you already tried this foundation, what did you think about it? Please don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.